Today, I'm going to be talking about time and not those traditional time management type techniques that maybe you've heard on other podcasters and other places, things like that. But what are your beliefs about time? How long is it supposed to take for things to happen, like healing, making money, getting over a relationship? So get ready, open your mind and enjoy this time that we're about to spend together investigating what is your relationship with time and could it shift in ways that allow for way more than you could ever imagine in less time. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So, going to start this conversation with something that most of us can all relate to, and then we're going to expand that out to a lot of other areas of your life. But how long does it take you to heal? Now, that can be a little bit of a wide-ranging topic, so let's just make it super simple of how long does it take you to maybe heal from getting a cut? And maybe some of you haven't even thought about this, and then maybe others, it's like, okay, it's like distant. It takes like a week or so. Like you cut your finger, and in a week or two, it's gone. Yeah, maybe some of you are like, why does it have to take so fucking long? Why can't I be like Wolverine in the Marvel movies who can heal like almost instantaneously? And there are statistics on how long it takes for things to heal. And one reason I know this is because back when I was 19, I was going to get my tonsils removed, and my surgeon at the time wanted to do a test, in addition to a bunch of other blood work to make sure I'm healthy and stuff like that. But while I was getting the other blood work taken, the phlebotomist, who ended up being somebody I went to high school with, which was a little weird. There's some of these things where it's just like, wait, somebody who's exactly my age, this was new to me, doing things in a medical setting. Um, and this is going to tie in a little bit with what we're talking about, and it might have had to do with why I had the experience with this woman that I did, where uh, she had a challenge of a time, getting the blood out of my veins, then doing this test that I'm about to tell you, and eventually a more experienced phlebotomist, by the way, that's the title of the person that draws your blood when you get your blood taken at a lab or whatever, phlebotomist. Um, anyway, so the test is called bleeding time, and it's about as fancy as it sounds. They cut you, and then they just see how long you bleed for. Now, they have a special tool which ensures, for the most part, they get a consistent depth and size of the cut, and which means that this is something that has been studied. And it's also something that they don't really do anymore because, the idea would have been it's like, well, if somebody takes forever to stop bleeding, then maybe we don't want to do the surgery on them because then they're just going to bleed out during the surgery or the operation. Apparently, that's turned out to not be a good correlation. I don't know what they do now. Maybe they just ask you like, hey, do you have any challenges bleeding? Or I don't know what they do, but I've only had this done once. And so apparently the stats on this is that the normal range of bleeding time was 2 to 9 minutes, with the average being somewhere between 3 and 6. Now what's funny is that the fact that the normal range is 2 to 9, that means that, I mean, often we go like, well, the longer one, that's unhealthy, right? Because that means you're bleeding and you're not stopping and you're supposed to stop bleeding. So if it's like, well, if it's over 10 minutes, there's probably something else that needs to be looked at, right? But the fact that under 2 minutes is also considered not normal, because the minimum observed apparently is as low as 1.5 minutes for this, which if you only took a minute and a half to stop bleeding from this, you would be not normal. And it's like, well, why are we going to say that that's not normal? So already starting to see, it's time and labels we put on it that things are supposed to stay a certain amount of time. Otherwise, what? It's not normal. And you might be going like, okay, this bleeding time thing, but what about, other things like superficial wounds? Like you cut your finger while slicing up some fruit, And there's been studies done on this because there's some things where they gotta cut you. They gotta cut you. I think this was something to do with like grafting where they need to take some amount of skin, put it somewhere else. I've had gum tissue grafting done, so I've had the palate of my mouth tissue removed from there so that it could be placed on my gums. Uh, so there's legit, helpful reasons why they might cut people, and they've used these to do studies. And in this, they've basically the average, the median healing time in the studies for this is 8 days to heal. Yet the range, what I find interesting, is 7 to 14 days, meaning that some people can take as long as double, yet there's nobody that takes less than 7 days for this healing to happen, at least not in this study. And I think because again, our beliefs are so powerful. What we believe is possible is so key into what we allow to happen in our lives. A good example of this is the story of when European sailing ships first started appearing on the shores of, what is now North Central South America. To them, it was considered the New World. To the people that live there, it was just fucking home. Um, Yet these people are just going about their business, checking out the ocean, and they're just like, cool, looks like a beautiful day. Yet there were giant galleons. Is that what it is? European sailing ships of the pre-1800s variety, made of wood and like huge, huge. And some of these ships were giant. Yet the story is that the people that were native there could not see them. So all of a sudden they're just walking around, and then there's like people that are just like, "Hey, what's going up, buddy?" And they don't know where they came from. Uh, why? Because they had no concept of a ship like that existing, that wasn't something that was possible. It was not even in the conception, so therefore they weren't able to see it. And so that's how powerful beliefs can be, is if we don't see something as possible. And the thing is, it's not just an individual, there's the collective belief. And often this is told of what the belief is, because most people have probably been told when they cut themselves, especially if they've ever gone to a doctor, they'll, even if you don't ask, they'll often tell you as they're bandaging you up, and now this is going to take, anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks to heal. And so even if in the study they didn't ever tell the people that this is the common thing, because I didn't, read how the study was constructed, but I would imagine it would be poor form to say healing takes between 7 to 14 days, and then the whole point is to figure out how long people take to heal. And so they probably didn't say that, but yet everybody that's doing the study believes that, has that experience, and everybody going into that has been told that and witnessed that their entire life. So there is a belief about the amount of time. Yet there are cases where people heal much, much faster. And the other thing is that there's parts of the body that are known, that are documented to heal much, much faster. So like the mouth is widely known for healing much faster, where cuts and wounds and things like that can heal in 1 to 2 days. And so there's explanations. Yet I do find interesting is that a lot of things, when you really back up and zoom, where they go like, well, yeah, there's this and this and this and this, they're just observing what happens and saying that that's the reason. It's not the reason. It's just you observe that, but because I think in the mouth there's something of like there's more stem cells or there's some extra magic in the mouth. Yet why is that extra magic in the mouth? I think they're not going to have a great explanation, because there's a little bit of like whatever's in one part of your body could probably be in another part of the body. Just why does it go one place and not the other place? Maybe it's because we believe it only belongs in the mouth area, not in the other areas. Now, I don't want to get too much off into, the healing, but just that there's a range of how long people can take to heal, um, and questioning like why do the certain limits exist? Because often, in the healing spaces that are a little bit more nebulous, that aren't, a cut, something where it's like, okay, a, a measurable wound has been inflicted. but something a little bit more nebulous, like, oh, my back hurts or my shoulder's tight, or something's been going on with my skin, something that maybe it might seem like it happened overnight, uh, which is often kind of funny because there's often like, oh, I woke up and I must have slept wrong, so that's why my neck hurts today. And it's like, well, but you sleep every night, and so nothing else changed. So something else shifted, and the only thing that can really be shifting is what's going on, mentally, emotionally, that has to do with your nervous system or neurologically. So there's a little bit of like, well, something that's, within the realm of, mind control, mind being in control of it, has shifted, something that has changed your body that now you are consciously knowing it. And so these are something that did happen overnight. Yet, did it really happen overnight, or is it just a something happened overnight as a result of maybe some things that happened over a long period of time? Because it's usually those cricks and cranks and ouchies, whatever, they take, days, weeks, months to resolve. And often you go to a chiropractor, you go to a massage therapist, a whatever, and they'll often say like, well, uh, this could take some time, to release, to let go, to heal. And what got you to this point didn't happen overnight. So it might not go away overnight. So there's often a level setting. And usually, at least I think in my experience, the real reason why that is done is not because there's any law of the universe that says, because often when something finally gets better, it feels like it practically went away overnight, right? There's not like, oh, it was immeasurable, it got a little bit better, a little bit better. There's usually a little of that, but then at some point it's like, oh, I just don't even worry about the thing in my neck anymore, or I don't worry about the pain in my hip. Like it just kind of went away. Because often these types of things that aren't, a direct, physiological tear, rip, whatever, that have kind of happened, over time, it's the cause is more emotional, psychological, if you will. There's starting to be more and more evidence to support this. And so it's really the physical is a symptom of something psychological, emotional. And it's usually those things that need to get worked out because these are signals to say like, hey, maybe you need to slow down, or maybe there's something you need to say, or maybe you just need help, or maybe you just need something to change in your life. And that's what is often going to take the time that's going to lead to the physical healing. And so some of it is, what do you believe about how long these things take to happen, not just on the physical level, but the emotional level? Because let's bring this to the area of breakups, right? Or endings of relationships. Like, I think I grew up hearing that, like, well, for every year you were with somebody, it's going to take a month to get over that person. And, yes and no. I mean, it could just depend, right? It depends on how the parting happened. So it could be like you could be over somebody in almost an instant, depending on how it ended. Yet there could be some cases where maybe it was just a month, but it'll take you a year or 10 years to work through that. Nothing is bad or wrong, better or worse, but there's no magic to, oh, this month per year thing that you have to do that. If not, you're not normal. Because we do have this tendency where we want to be normal or be in relation to normal. So either be exceptional or be within range, or and would not be bad, or maybe there's a part of us that does want to be bad because there's a benefit. 'Cause some of these things, there's a benefit to not getting well. Like maybe you get time off, maybe you get attention, maybe you get to have I definitely know this for myself. When I look back, it's like, well, if I had a body that didn't have any pains, then why would I go get a massage? Why would I go to a chiropractor where I get to interact with people and have a little bit of time that's just for me? I get to really relax and get to learn how to be calm and all these things. And so, what is the secret benefit to your current model of how long things take? Now, I don't want this to be, again, all about, physical healing, but bring this to what are your opinions of how long it takes to maybe make money or lose money, right? Like for whatever reason, it's so easy to lose money. Like casinos really make that apparent. Uh, Yet, do you have a belief that it takes a long time to make lots of money? That like, oh, to get 10% more is going to take me, 2 to 3 years. And the thing is especially in money, is you're going to be able to find examples that will break any belief that you have. Yet you're probably going to have beliefs that reinforce your core belief about the current time frame that allow you to just ignore those. Like, well, but that person that made, millions and billions of dollars within just a couple years, like they were a bad person. So you can't be a good person and do that. So therefore, my model of how the world works as far as money is still valid because I'm a good person and good people take, years to slowly increase the amount of money they have in their life. And one of the things is as you start to become aware of maybe what the beliefs you have about time and how long things take, both to heal, to make money, to shift in relationships, whether it's creating new ones or getting over old ones, is starting to expand of, well, who benefits from these beliefs, right? If we look at the medical system, there can be beliefs of like, well, if it takes a while to get better, then that's more appointments, then that's financially beneficial. If it goes to like relationships and it's like, oh, it can take so long to get over somebody, and it's like, well, ooh, well, maybe you shouldn't leave somebody, you should stay with them. And if like, oh, it takes a long time to connect to somebody new, then like, oh yeah, I guess I better just keep things the way they are. And then with the money thing, it's like, well, if only bad people can, be financially secure or make lots of money quickly, I want to be a good person. And if it's good, you got to stick it out slowly and you got to wait and be patient. Doesn't that benefit, staying in a wage type job where you have an employer that will just kind of like tease out these, slow, socially acceptable amounts of increases? So if you look at what you currently believe about time and how long things take or don't take, you'll see that it kind of supports the life that you've had and the world that you had. And if maybe some of these things started to shift, maybe your life would shift, maybe your world would shift. Maybe you could have less pain. Maybe you could have more loving relationships. Maybe you could have more financial security and abundance. So the last thing that I kind of want to bring up is that has to do with this of what's possible based off of your beliefs. And again, I'm going to be really careful here because when I'm talking about beliefs, I'm not talking about your religious beliefs of, what's a deity, who's a deity, but just of like, what do you assume is true without any facts? And this is again, like, there's no there's although there's lots of observances that a cut takes about a week to heal, there is actually nothing that prevents it from healing much faster. And there's documented proof that, oh, and actually, I did look this up, that children heal much, much faster. So there's something inherent that is possible, but then is it as children learn collectively like no, you can't heal that fast, you got to slow it down, so they go like, okay, I guess I don't want to be weird, so I guess I'll take a week to heal a cut, whereas I think I saw something that's like can be somewhere like 5 days or 4 days. There is this capability in the human system already to do things faster than is supposedly normal. And if we start to question and start to allow things to maybe not be normal or normalize the out of range and start to go like, well, what's optimal? What serves me? What serves you? What serves all of us? Instead of just going with what we've gotten, that if we start to allow some of these new beliefs in just these areas, especially about money, especially in the world of AI and robotics, where that only money earned from hard work is going to be beneficial. That's not going to work out well if you want to benefit from AI and robotics. If you want to live a shit, awful life with those things around, those beliefs are perfect for that. But if you want to believe that money can just flowing quickly and easily with little effort, then AI and robotics is going to make that possible. So you start to see how some of these things that maybe you believe and have accepted, what kind of world is that going to create? Whereas if you start to question them and go like, well, yeah, if I believed that something else was possible, then wow, that the whole lot of things could change in my life, in my world, and for those that I love. So bring this back to the area where I'm like, okay, now that we've got what a belief is that I want to talk about, let this be a thought experiment because I don't want you to believe this is true because again, a lot of what I'm about to share with you, the language that we have it in has been modified over many, many, many centuries by various people with different understandings, different objectives, different things. And so not even getting what the original words were. And what I'm going to be sharing, what I want to share with you is this concept of basically Jesus, the historical Jesus, and what was stated in the Bible. And just use this more as a thought experiment because I recently saw this and it really just it made me reconsider some things in a whole new light. That in the Bible, I'm not saying you have to believe any of this is true, but in the construct, in the story, Jesus did miracles, healings, right? Like, and turned water into wine. I recently saw like a really funny sketch where it's Jesus and the apostles. They go into a restaurant like in modern day, and they get sat down, and um, the waitress goes to Jesus like, so yeah, so what do you guys want to what do you want to drink? And all the apostles start chuckling, and Jesus go like, oh, we're just shh, shh, quiet guys, quiet. We're just gonna have water. We're just gonna have water. And they all laugh, and the waitress is like, I don't know what the fuck, and because they're laughing because Jesus can turn water into wine. In the Bible says like they're gonna get free wine. They're just gonna get water and they're gonna turn it into wine. That was the joke of the sketch, and so anyway, Jesus can do miracles if you're not familiar in the Bible, like magic, can do magic shit. Um, Yet it's interesting when Jesus goes back to his hometown of Nazareth, cannot to do the magic, no magic. Why? In the Bible, it's used as the term of like the people didn't have faith. Yet another interesting way to look at the term faith is beliefs. Like they didn't have beliefs that Jesus could do miracles because they knew him as just a carpenter, the carpenter's son, the carpenter. And it's like, well, the carpenter's son works wood, doesn't work miracles. And so thinking of this, that what others believe about you and what you believe about you can be part of a constraint. Many of you that maybe don't go and visit, your family of birth very often, it's like you might do these amazing things out in the world, yet you go home and it's like, well, you're just the person who, you crapped your pants when you were like 9 years old, and you just say dumb things, and that they don't want to let you do the magic that you can do, whether that's, amazing copywriting, or maybe you are a medical doctor, or all these things. So it's very common. And so something to be aware of when you are going to do something, that's going to be magic compared to what you came from, even if it is just, you're a great speaker, great communicator, to them, they might never see it. Whatever, you might be a great coder, but they'll never allow you to code something up to improve their life. They'll never use your app, whatever. It's just kind of a common thing. But just this thought experiment that if, in the context of the story, that, they get this Jesus guy, this literally son of God, and that powerful, that human belief is still that powerful that it basically doesn't allow a deity to do stuff, then imagine what your beliefs and the beliefs of those around you have been doing to you and to your life, and how long things you need to take, have to take, and start to question that of like, do I really need to take this much time to heal? Do I really need to take this much time to get inspiration? Do I need to take this much time to make money, to feel abundant? Do I need to take this much time to build a business? Do I need to take this much time to have a good relationship? Do I need to take this much time to get over a loss, right? Start to question. And then the natural thing is like, okay, maybe I could, but how do I go about it? Well, that's a whole other topic, and something that really it's doable. and something that maybe I'll do a podcast in the future. It's something that I can work with people one-on-one with. I'm going to start to figure out if there's ways to do it in groups. So if that's something that's just like, there's something I really want to change, like, maybe reach out to me. Yet there's many people that can help you shift beliefs, lots of ways to shift beliefs. So something you could go and look into, but you got to believe you can change what you believe. Otherwise, none of these things are going to work. You're not even going to see it. You're not even going to see that there's these ways to shift your beliefs. So with that, I'd love to hear like what are some areas where you might be questioning, I might have a new perspective on, does it have to be this way? And you're starting to question. I'd love for you to let me know in the comments, or find me on social media. So Justin Wenck, Ph.D. Love to hear what's something you're starting to go like, ooh, does that have to be so? You know, what amount of time is really necessary to do some things in both ways? Because maybe you want it. Maybe it's like, well, you're supposed to only take 4 years to go through college, but like maybe you want to take like 6 years, 7 years because you want to really enjoy it and take your time. Ooh, yeah, it doesn't have to be all about doing things faster, right? What if it's about slowing down and allowing yourself to really appreciate and enjoy the experience? So yeah, love to hear what you guys are getting from this. Thanks so much for listening, watching. Do the like, the subscribe, the rate, and love to hear from you. So with that, thank you and good day. Thanks for tuning in to Engineering Emotions and Energy with Justin Wenck, PhD. Today's episode resonated with you? Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback not only supports the show, but also helps others find us and start their journey of emotional and energetic mastery. You can also help by sharing this podcast with someone you think will love it just as much as you do. Together, we're engineering more amazing lives.